Indeed, good afternoon, welcome. This is a special edition of KTN Business Today. We're coming to you live from Thika Road. We are staging at the Garden City Mall here to gauge what exactly the economy has been doing in this part of the world. What you can see, of course, are live pictures from this particular area of Nairobi, and indeed working here to bring you up to speed on what the latest is in terms of business news today here and right across the country. As ever, we have a packed slate of stories for you, including, of course, the fact that seamless payments conference is underway here in Nairobi. What is the perspective from that? Later on in the show, we'll have John Chaplin. He is the chairman of the Global Payments Innovation Jury, one of the people who have been at the center of the discussion around payments and the future of that in the country. Also here today, here at on Thika Road at the Garden City Mall, I am joined on set by Ruth Wako. She is marketing manager here. She is the person in charge of retail at this mall and is here to talk to us about what exactly the conversation around business here at the malls has been. How are they performing? How have they been doing? And what does the future hold? Say hello, Ruth.
Hello.
Yes, that of course is later on that conversation expected to be what exactly we will be delving into here. But as ever, we start off with the markets. Sorry about that. We, of course, want to bring you up to speed on how the markets have been performing so far. And want to start you off at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, looking at live trading and what so far has been happening, the big movers, the gainers, and the losers. Well, movers of the day include Safaricom, as ever being the highest volume of the day. Current market capitalization at about 1.02 trillion shillings, having so far moved some 6.5 million shares so far. Cooperative Bank having moved 5.85 million. Equity Bank having moved 5.21 million shares. Market cap at about 148 billion shillings, while KCB and ICBC have so far moved 1.98 and 1.60 million shares respectively. Gainers of the day include Total, who are up 6.67% to trade at 24 shillings. Deacons East Africa at 4 shillings and 20 cents, having gained 5% on the day. Home Africa having gained 4.76%, bullish at 1.10%, and Mumias Sugar at 1 shilling and 15 cents, up 4.55%. Losers of the day include Nairobi Business Ventures, shedding 9.38%. They're nearing its 10% cap at 2 shillings 90. Unga down 4.48% at 32 shillings. Earth River Mining having shed 3.36% at 15 shillings and 80. And TPS Serena down 2.91% at 25 shillings. As ever, we are interactive. We're coming at you from social media. We are today asking you the Twitter poll question. Do you think that malls in Kenya are able to meet the demands of their customers in a satisfactory way? Again, do you think malls here in Kenya have been able to meet the demands of their customers and serve them in a satisfactory fashion? Do get talking to us. The hashtag is Business Today. You can, of course, reach out to me using the Twitter handle at Peter Okaba. Use the Twitter handle at KTN News, and we'll sample that conversation as the show does continue. Well, to the stories of the day now, and just to bring you up to speed what exactly has been happening, if I can get my machinery working right here. Of course, the fact of the matter has been that today we're discussing payments and payment solutions. And the biggest story there today being that the Africa Import-Export Bank is in Nairobi to interest investors in taking up equity in the institution. The Supranational Trade Finance Bank is opening up its shareholding to private investors through the issuance of some $300 million in equity through depository receipt backed by Class D shares. Now, this milestone development for African capital markets is aimed at enabling the bank facilitate and expand the levels of intra and extra-African trade in line with its overall strategy and long-term objectives. The long-term African Export-Import Bank finances promote intra and extra-African trade.
This program was already in plan for several months before the elections. We don't think that the fact of the elections should alter that program, especially as Kenyans have behaved extremely decently with the elections. The Supreme Court has made a decision, and everyone has agreed to comply with that decision. Elsewhere in the world, the people would be praised why should we take a different view in our own continent? We should look up to ourselves and be proud about it. So we can't delay the program because of that, and we can't go elsewhere. The continent belongs to us. We must take control of it. We cannot have a view other than a very optimistic view of it, because indeed there is plenty of progress in the continent and there is plenty of opportunity.
As advisors, the way we look at markets is from a very long-term perspective, and secondly, investments continue regardless of events happening in the market, and we see the election really just as an event in a cycle of any economy every 5 years, and so we don't see it as something which should deter people from looking at investments, especially if they are taking a long-term view.
Afrexim Bank is at the forefront of financing trade in Africa, and for us to be able to do that in a more effective way, we need to be more adequately capitalized. So the reason we are raising additional equity today is to enhance our capitalization so that we will be able to make a meaningful contribution to financing Africa's trade.
Mauritius is part of SADC, Mauritius is part of COMESA. If we are doing all this for India, why can't we be more integrated in the capital and financial market with Africa? So we took on board this and we made it a very first in financial history for Africa, because this is an instrument issued by an African bank, the State Bank of Mauritius, on the back of an ordinary share issued by a Pan-African bank, the Afrexim Bank, and listed in an African stock exchange, the Mauritius Stock Exchange, and also advised by legal and financial advisors of Africa.
Target investor is the sophisticated investor, the long-term investor, the pension fund. We think this instrument is attractive because of its first currency diversification and its low correlation to the current banking portfolio in Kenya. So this presents an interesting opportunity for these kinds of investors to have a piece in this fantastic institution.
Well, we're still staging here at Garden City Mall on Thika Road, and all around me is lots of life, people doing the trampoline, people having lunch, people enjoying the sun, people enjoying themselves. And we're here to investigate just what the conversation around malls has been, the fact that there had been reports that there was a glut in the market and some weren't doing very well. And so far around me, all I see is signs of life and business going on. Now to another banking story where the East Africa Development Bank has partnered with the African American Institute to give skilled teachers working in public teaching institutions an opportunity to advance their knowledge in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The program comes in the wake of concerns over only 27% of university students pursuing STEM. That, of course, is science, technology, education, and mathematics-related careers right across the region.
First thing, we need to equip our teachers with these skills so that when they go to the classroom, then they have these skills, then they'll be able to pass it to the learners. The other thing that I'll advocate for is that we need also to emphasize on our colleges and universities to have similar programs so that when a teacher trains in these schools, then when they come to the field, then they already have these skills so that when they go to classroom, then they have the skills and also the content.
The problem that there is the learners are bombarded with so much content of which now they cannot get the practical aspect of the same. So having more practical work, more equipment in our laboratories, this will serve to achieve this goal.
The most important thing I think that we can do is to ensure that the learning is student-centered, so that the students are given the opportunity to do what they feel they are able to do, other than emphasizing on the pressure that education is what will give you the job. So students are running away from practice, especially in science areas, and do areas that they feel as long as you qualify to move to the next level, you'll get employed.
Well, from that STEM-related story, the fact that we're trying to get many more Africans to start talking about technical skills, well, we are still here at Garden City Mall, and all around me, signs of life, people enjoying themselves, especially this young lady that we can see who is here at Garden City, enjoying herself. But before we go, of course, to the interview that we have prepared for you, I'm told that the NASA principals have a press conference that we want to listen to in now for just a few minutes, so just listen along.